Knowing what I do now, um, it's not possible for me to excuse the Beatles. I know that we're dealing with climate change and it's heavy, but I also know that back in the 80s, when their attorney impaled me with the brain dead syllogism, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, as a response to blackout about the AIDS information, a time when we needed logistics and immediate intervention. They were going, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and hot wiring my testimony of torture to promote a gang that was including someone who wrote a song called Flame Over Africa and doing covers of Yoko Ono's. So here we are. I mean, when I go back into the record and find somebody named Gaylord and the Hair Crowd were organizers of the first Earth Day, I can see what happened. So it's a question of looking at two sides of the same issue simultaneously without getting too confused. You know, the people who did this used to say we're just trying to confuse, like John Lennon said the Beatles didn't want to come to America until they were number one. And the truth is that as long as JFK was alive, they wouldn't be. Petticoat Junction has a show after Kennedy was dead where somebody comes hopping around. I love the Beatles. They're the biggest thing in America. That's what they wanted to be able to say. And the bizarre thing they pulled, claiming John Lennon died, there was a script, and they wanted the person who didn't know what was going on more than the person who wrote the script and so on to be tortured and interrogated and so on. Weird thing they did comes down to the union's pull, their refusal to regard attack prostitution as inherently suspicious. Um, if you look at motive, when there's a hate crime like against Jewish people and it's not solved, you look at people who are hate criminals who had access or reason to um, attack, and work from motive to try to find out if any of the known hate criminals, anti Semitic hate criminals, were in the area, for example. Well, with AIDS, there was a lot of stigma, so I wondered about the extreme parochial lunatic edge. And it turned out that one of them, Greg Carl, who was working with Ringo Starr, it turns out, Greg Starr Cynic was the agent name they used to announce their agency, had written the persona is subjected to successive degradations of the X motive. So Hair wasn't about sexual liberation. It turns out it was about successive degradations. It was promoting degradation of the X motives. And you're not supposed to think that's suspicious, even though the motive ties directly to the parochial extremists. And the union says that attack prostitution isn't suspicious. So, I mean, and then we're supposed to be like love slaves to these horrible assassins because of some ideological bent in Sotheby's and Sound Seattle Art Museum. And they murder people over a penny. They say it's an art statement. Queer Authority, the Gaylord, who organized Earth Day. I'm not into it. I can't excuse Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney. It's outside of my comfort zone to excuse something that abnormal and and bestial. I mean, their conduct towards me suggests truly depraved, violent psychotics. And it's just outside my comfort zone to go along with something that evil.